He had been traveling for 19 hours, not comfortably. The private jet had developed a problem in Dubai that had required a commercial flight to London and a connecting flight that had been delayed twice and a final leg by train because the airport was closed for maintenance and nobody had thought to mention this before he booked. He was 44 years old. He owned 47 hotels. He was standing in the lobby of one of them at 11:45 at night in clothes he had been wearing for 19 hours with his 7-year-old son asleep on his shoulder. Because the boy had finally given up waiting to arrive somewhere that felt like not moving, James Whitfield looked like a tired man with a sleeping child. He did not look like the owner of the building he was standing in. He understood this. He also understood that the receptionist who was looking at him with the specific expression of someone who had assessed him and reached a conclusion was about to make a significant mistake. "Good evening," James said. "Good evening," the receptionist said, with the particular tone of someone who had decided what kind of evening this was going to be for the person in front of them. "I'd like a room," James said. "2 nights." The receptionist looked at him, at the clothes, at the sleeping child, at the bag that was not the kind of bag people who stayed at the Whitfield Grand usually carried. "I'm afraid we're fully booked," the receptionist said. James looked at her. "You're fully booked," he said. "Yes, sir. I'm sorry." He looked at the board behind her, the specific board that showed room availability in the Whitfield Grand, London, which showed 14 rooms available. He looked at the board for a long moment. He looked at the receptionist. He shifted his son slightly on his shoulder so he could reach into his jacket with his free hand. He produced a card, not a credit card, a card that had his name on it and his title. He placed it on the desk. The receptionist looked at it. She looked at him. She looked at the card. The lobby went very quiet, not because anyone had said anything dramatic. Because 14 people in the lobby of the Whitfield Grand had just watched the man. The hotel was named after being told his hotel was fully booked. Stay with me, because what happens in the next 60 seconds is going to show you something about what power looks like when it doesn't announce itself, and what happens when the people who should know better decide that tired and underdressed means unimportant. His name was James Whitfield. He was 44 years old and had been, for 18 of those years, building Whitfield hotels, building them with the specific focused intensity of someone who had understood early that hospitality was not about buildings, but about people, and that people required the particular attention of someone who understood what they needed before they asked for it. He had 47 hotels. Not all of them were named after him. The Whitfield brand was the flagship line. 11 properties in 8 countries. The specific hotels that represented what the company believed hospitality could be at its finest. The others operated under different names and different concepts, but with the same underlying understanding of what a person arriving somewhere tired and in need of welcome deserved to receive. He knew his hotels. He visited them, not with advance notice, not with the specific preparation of someone who wanted to see the performance. Rather than the reality, he visited the way he was visiting tonight, tired, unannounced, with a child on his shoulder, looking like someone who needed a room rather than someone who owned the building. This was intentional. He had been doing this for 18 years. He had seen most things. His son's name was Oliver. He was 7 years old and had been, for the last 4 of those years, The specific kind of person that a child becomes when they are raised by a parent who is present and attentive, and who has understood that presence matters more than provision. Someone who was confident without being difficult, curious without being exhausting, and who had, in the particular way of children who feel secure, the specific ability to fall asleep on his father's shoulder at 11:45 at night in a hotel lobby and trust completely that everything was being handled. Oliver's mother had died when he was 3, not dramatically, or not in the way that dramatic usually implied something that could have been prevented, a brain aneurysm. The specific sudden cruelty of something that gave no warning and left a 4-year-old child and a 37-year-old man who understood hotels and business and the specific requirements of hospitality and who understood nothing about how to be the only parent of a 3-year-old. He had learned. He had been learning for 4 years. He was getting better at it with the particular determination of someone who understood that getting better was not optional and who had applied to fatherhood the same focused intensity he had applied to everything else. Oliver was, by any measure, fine. More than fine. He was the specific kind of fine that produced a child who could sleep on his father's shoulder in a hotel lobby at 11:45 at night with complete trust. The board showed 14 rooms available. James had looked at it for a long moment, the specific moment of someone who is giving a situation the opportunity to resolve itself before they resolve it. It had not resolved itself. The receptionist, her name, he would note from the badge, was Catherine, had looked at him with the particular expression of someone who had made an assessment and was maintaining it despite the available evidence. The available evidence was a tired man in 19-hour clothes with a sleeping child. The unavailable evidence was the name on every piece of marble in the building. Catherine, he said. She looked at him. The board behind you shows 14 available rooms, he said. I understand you may have reasons for telling me you're fully booked that I'm not aware of. I'd like to understand what those reasons are. She looked at the board. She looked at him. I apologize, sir. I may have made an error. Yes, he said. You may have. He placed the card on the desk. She looked at it. She looked at him. The specific looking of someone who was doing arithmetic very quickly. The lobby had gone quiet in the way of places where people are pretending not to watch something while watching it very carefully. Whitfield, she said. Yes, he said. A room, he said. Please. My son has been traveling for 19 hours. He did not fire her on the spot. This was the thing that nobody who had been in the lobby that night expected. The specific surprise of someone who had the power to do something dramatic and who did not do it. He took the room. He took Oliver upstairs. He put his son to bed with the particular care of someone for whom this specific task had become, over 4 years, the most important thing he did each day. The tucking in and the glass of water and the specific check that the night light was on, because Oliver preferred a night light and James had known this. Since Oliver was 4, he came back downstairs at 12:30. He asked to speak to the general manager, not the duty manager. The general manager, who was, at 12:30 on a Tuesday night, asleep in his apartment 3 streets away, and who arrived at the hotel at 1:15. With the specific expression of someone who had received the call and had understood immediately what the call meant. His name was Michael Torres, 41 years old, general manager of the Whitfield Grand London for 3 years. A good general manager, James knew this from the metrics, from the guest scores, from the specific data of someone who had been running the hotel well. A good general manager whose staff had told the owner of the hotel he was fully booked. "Mr. Whitfield," Michael said. "Michael," James said. "Sit down." They sat. "Tell me," James said, "what you know about what happened tonight." Michael told him. Not defensively. Michael Torres was not a defensive person. Was the specific kind of person who understood that the correct response to a mistake was accuracy rather than management. Catherine had been on her 3rd month. She had been performing well in other respects. Tonight she had made an assessment based on appearance and had acted on that assessment. Without verifying the information she was giving, the board had clearly shown available rooms, and she had said the hotel was fully booked. She saw a tired man with a child, James said. "Yes," Michael said, and decided he wasn't the right kind of guest. James said. "Yes," Michael said. "Michael," James said. "What is the first thing we train every member of staff in this company?" Michael looked at the table. "Every guest," he said, "deserves the same welcome, regardless of how they arrive." "Yes," James said. "I know," Michael said. "My son," James said, "was asleep on my shoulder. He is 7 years old, and he had been traveling for 19 hours, and he trusted that when we arrived somewhere, we would be welcomed." Michael was quiet. "We failed him," he said. "Yes," James said. "You did. What would you like to do?" Michael said. James looked at the lobby of his hotel, at the marble with his name on it, at the specific place that was supposed to represent what he believed hospitality could be. "Catherine stays," he said. Michael looked at him. "She made a mistake," James said. "People make mistakes. The question is what they learn from them." He paused. "I want her here tomorrow morning. I want to speak to her, and I want the training reviewed, all front of house staff, this week." "Yes," Michael said. "And Michael," James said. "Yes, the manager on duty tonight," James said. "Who was supposed to be supervising?" Michael was quiet. "Yes," he said. "That," James said, "is a different conversation. She came at 8 in the morning, not because she had been told James Whitfield was the owner. She had been told only that the general manager needed to see her before her shift. She was 23 years old and had the specific appearance of someone who had not slept, and who was managing the not sleeping with the particular stoicism of someone who understood that whatever was coming, and that stoicism was not going to change it. James was in the general manager's office. He stood when she came in. She looked at him, at the man from last night, who was different this morning, who was wearing a different suit, and who was sitting in the general manager's office, with the particular ease of someone for whom this office was not unfamiliar. "Please sit down," he said. She sat. "Catherine," he said, "my name is James Whitfield. I own this hotel." She looked at him. "Yes," she said. "I understand that now. Last night," he said, "you told me the hotel was fully booked. There were 14 available rooms." "Yes," she said. "Why?" he said. She looked at her hands. "Because," she said, "I looked at you and I made an assumption about what kind of guest you were." She paused. "Based on how you looked." "Yes," he said. "That was wrong," she said. "Yes," he said. "It was." "I'm sorry," she said. He looked at her. Catherine, he said, I'm not going to fire you. She looked up. The duty manager who should have been supervising you, he said, is a different matter. But you are 3 months in, and you made a mistake, and mistakes are how people learn. She was very still. However, he said, I want you to understand something. Yes, she said. My son, he said, was 7 years old and asleep on my shoulder. He had been traveling for 19 hours. When we walked through that door, he trusted that we were going to be welcomed. She looked at him. Every person who walks through that door, he said, is someone's child, or someone's parent, or someone who has been traveling for 19 hours and who has a 7-year-old on their shoulder. We don't know their story when they arrive. We know only that they need welcome. She looked at her hands. I understand, she said. I know you do, he said. That's why you're staying. Oliver found out at breakfast. Not because James had planned to tell him, because Oliver was 7 and was paying attention, and had asked, with the specific directness of a 7-year-old who wanted an answer, why the man from the desk last night had come to say sorry this morning. James had not entirely planned the morning's conversation being witnessed. He had learned, in 4 years of being Oliver's father, that Oliver witnessed most things. Papa, Oliver said, over his cereal. Is this your hotel? Yes, James said. All of it? Yes, James said. Oliver considered this. The lady last night said there were no rooms, he said. Yes, James said. But there were rooms, Oliver said. Yes, James said. Why did she say there weren't? James looked at his son. Because, he said, she looked at us and decided we weren't the right kind of people for this hotel. Oliver considered this with the specific seriousness he brought to things that required it. Because of your clothes? He said. Probably, James said. That's wrong, Oliver said. Yes, James said. It is. What did you do? Oliver said. I talked to her, James said. This morning. Did you shout? No, James said. Good, Oliver said. Shouting doesn't usually help. James looked at his 7-year-old. Where did you learn that? He said. You, Oliver said. You never shout. Not usually, James said. Not ever, Oliver said. With the specific certainty of someone who had been paying attention for 7 years, he implemented the training that week, not as punishment, as the specific response of someone who understood that what had happened was a symptom rather than an isolated incident, and that symptoms required addressing at the source. Every front of house staff member at the Whitfield Grand London went through a half-day session on guest welcome. Not a lecture, a conversation. The specific kind that James had found over 18 years produced understanding. Rather than compliance, he led the first session himself. He told them about the night. Not to shame anyone, Catherine was not named. The duty manager, who had already been reassigned, was not named. He told them about a tired man and a sleeping child and a lobby at 11:45 at night, and what welcome should have looked like and what it had looked like instead. He told them about Oliver, about a 7-year-old who had been traveling for 19 hours and who had fallen asleep trusting that when they arrived somewhere, they would be welcomed. The room was very quiet. Every person who walks through our door, he said, is carrying something. A journey, a difficulty, a sleeping child. We don't know their story. We know only this. They chose to come here. And the first thing they feel when they arrive should be that the choice was correct. He looked at the room. Make the choice feel correct. he said. Every time, for every person, regardless of how they arrive. He asked about it on the Thursday. They were at breakfast again. The specific hotel breakfast of 2 people who had extended the stay by 3 days because Oliver had found the swimming pool, and the swimming pool had become the primary argument for remaining. Papa, Oliver said. Single quotes, yes. The people who work here, he said. Do they like it? I hope so, James said. Why? Because, Oliver said. Mrs. Martinez smiled at me this morning. A real smile, not a working smile. James looked at his son. What's the difference? He said. A working smile, Oliver said, is when you smile because you have to. A real smile is when you smile because you want to. Where did you learn that? James said. Grandma, Oliver said. She said you can always tell. She was right, James said. Mrs. Martinez wanted to, Oliver said. I could tell. James looked at the lobby, at the hotel that was his, at the staff moving through it, at the specific ordinary morning of a place that was trying to be what it was supposed to be. Good, he said. Papa, Oliver said. Single quotes, yes. When I grow up, he said. Can I work here? James looked at his son. You can do whatever you want, he said. But yes, if you want to. I want to make people feel like the choice was correct, Oliver said. When they arrive, James looked at the 7-year-old eating cereal in the hotel he owned. He thought he was paying attention on Tuesday night. He thought he always pays attention. He thought, I am the luckiest tired man who ever arrived at his own hotel. He had been traveling for 19 hours. He owned 47 hotels. He was standing in the lobby of one of them at 11:45 at night with his 7-year-old son asleep on his shoulder. The receptionist told him the hotel was fully booked. The board showed 14 available rooms. He placed his card on the desk. The lobby went quiet. Here is what we learned. Power does not always announce itself. Importance does not always look important. The tired man in the 19-hour clothes with the sleeping child on his shoulder was the man whose name was on every piece of marble in the building. But that is not the lesson. The lesson is this. He did not fire her. He talked to her. He told her about a 7-year-old boy who had been traveling for 19 hours and who had fallen asleep trusting that when they arrived somewhere they would be welcomed. He said, every person who walks through our door is carrying something. We don't know their story. We know only that they chose to come here. Make the choice feel correct. Every time, for every person, regardless of how they arrive. Oliver said, I want to make people feel like the choice was correct when they arrive. He was 7 years old. He was completely right. Make the choice feel correct. That is everything.